We are all here as a community of founders and former founders and future founders and aspiring founders and actually a lot of students as well to talk about building stuff. And a key aspect of that is, in fact, community. And I think one thing that has really been impactful is the nature of founder communities, particularly post-COVID, has changed, right? And part of the genesis of this event came from the fact that we had founders that were starting up post-COVID who didn't know any of the people in Vancouver who did stuff pre-COVID. So I've got three folks here who are helping to build different kinds of communities, and we're gonna dig into that and what these young, eager folks can tell an old guy like me and everybody else in here. So let's start with Jacob. I'd like you to give a quick one-sentence introduction to yourself, what you do, and what is the community that you are building?
Sure. So hi, I'm Jacob, co-founder of IcePanel. I'm a YC founder and British, and I moved here because of the view that you have behind you about 4 years ago. The community that we build is what we call the Vancouver Builders Chill Club. It's pretty much just to hang out, play competitive games, and meet like-minded product builders.
It is, as far as I know, the only founder meetup on the North Shore.
Yeah,
awesome.
we always joke that we are the North Shore tech scene. So.
Mike?
Hi everyone, my name is Mai, and I'm the co-founder of Red Thread Club, and we're the most unhinged and unconventional Gen Z founder clubs in Canada. Okay, stop the clap.
Okay, so what does that actually mean?
It means all our events are unique. We're focused on first-time founders, pre-Series A, because like you said, post-COVID, people don't really know where to go for the right resources, and community is extremely important when you're creating something net new. So all our events are exclusive for first-time founders. We do a 30-30-10 ratio, meaning 30% tech founders, 30% CPG non-tech founders, and 10% mentor and investor. So we want to flip the room around where investors are chasing talent instead of the other way.
All right, Toki?
Hi everyone, I'm Toki. I run the Vancouver.dev community. So I bring technical people together, bring like Vancouver founders together to highlight what they're building and share how they're building.
Okay, so all three of you, right, took a look around and decided that the thing you wanted didn't exist, right? Because most people are kind of lazy, and if there was a perfect community or club or whatever that did exactly what you wanted, you'd just roll in there and show up and be a part of it. What was it, maybe we'll start with Toki and come down. What was the thing that you looked at and you're like, why isn't this here?
So a little bit background story. So I moved here 3.5 years ago. And when I moved here, I actually wanted to connect with the technical people in Vancouver. People are building cool things. And I tried Meetup. Luma was not a thing back then. And I couldn't really find, like-minded people. So.
And just I want to double click, because I want to be really, really specific. What is like-minded to you? What were you very specifically looking for?
Yeah, for me, I wanted to, find people who are building things, right? Like not really selling at that point or like other things. Just people who are like, hey, I'm building this cool thing, sharing each other. So I couldn't really find that like post-COVID. Yeah.
Okay. Mike?
For me, number one, I want to find people building cool things, and Toki already has that. But the second thing is I want to do cool things with cool people. So, for example, I want to go to a pickleball court, and everyone there is a founders, and you connect beyond just talking about your work on a deeper personal level.
Okay, so what you're talking about really is not just the group of people, but like the nature of the connectivity. Okay, cool. Now, you are XYC founder who's kind of busy or should be busy building a company when you're not snowboarding. Why did you decide on top of that to do a hangout, to do what you're doing there?
I think it's because one of the things that we gained during Y Combinator when we did it was the community of people that you're surrounded with. You're surrounded by purely people getting their hands dirty, building stuff, and it's a very different mindset than a lot of the events that I found myself going to, which was a lot of like people talking about valuation and spreadsheets and kind of the boring stuff. I wanted to talk to people who were like actually building cool stuff, and although I should be busy, I like hanging out with people who are building stuff. And the other kind of element was we also see our event as a kind of hiring strategy as well. So we actually hired somebody who regularly comes to our events purely because he's shown more interest in working with us specifically than the average person who just kind of fills in a pretty basic form.
Okay. Now let's take the flip side of that, and I'm not going to sugarcoat or protect anybody's egos should they be in the room, but what were some of the things that you went to, and you don't necessarily have to name them, but like describe them, where I'm guessing you tried to go to some events. I'm guessing you guys all went out and attended something. What sucked about it? What were you like, this is not the thing I want to be at?
Yeah, I think kind of continuing on from what I was talking about, it was a lot of high-level waffle talks. I found a lot of the like tech scene events that I had been to here were like barely scraping the surface of what I wanted to know as somebody who's actually building something that was making money. You know, there was one event I went to that really kind of pushed me over the edge. That it was talking about scaling a company, and the first person who got up on the stage had like been building this thing for about 3 months, and like their number that they were like promoting and being really excited about was they had 5 customers sign up that week. And so like I wanted a little bit more depth.
You wanted some actual scaling.
I wanted to learn how to scale, which was the point of the talk, but like this person had barely started. So like I felt that there was a real lack of like deep-rooted like understanding of a problem space that someone has been like focused on for like 5+ years, and they've been really, really excited by that problem for so long that they're willing to go through the pain that it takes to actually like build a product that's successful.
Yeah, I think this might be a horrible location to say this, but why I started Rhetoric Club, because I went to the Web Summit, and I didn't find that energy there. I didn't find the builder, the creativity. It was a lot of panel talks, as we're on a panel right now.
It's your job to make it exciting.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it exciting. But I want to see the right people in the room. They're young, they're hungry, they're building, and they don't know where to go for the right resources. And a lot of my friends who are active builders weren't allowed into all the side events because they don't have a big name on their resume. And so we wanted to create an environment where those kind of talent are fostered before they hit the public market.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, it's like, you know, my experience is I went to Web Summit, but I didn't really listen to a single kind of panel talk. I found out that, like, if you want to, like, hang out, the best hangout is finding the right people and mostly small kind of group of people. And actually, there's, like, bunch of, you know, side events during Web Summit, being one of the one you hosted. So apart from that, I joined a couple. So I think the side events, finding, like, this small event, that helps a lot in terms of getting the right people.
Okay. Now, let's play compare and contrast, right? All of you have spent time in other places, right? So what are the things that you think might be indicative of the culture here, right? Where it's like, hey, you know what? We need to create something here extra because Vancouver doesn't do it naturally. Or conversely, something you've seen in another place. You gave some examples of SF where you're like, okay, I went down there and they have these things and this is not here. I want to make that happen, right? So what are some things that are just sort of missing in the ecosystem that you think are opportunities? And maybe we'll start with Toki.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to address here is I think we don't talk, you know, enough about building things and also getting customers in Vancouver. So if you look at a YC network, like, you know, a lot of YC founders actually, they started become their, you know, their other, you know, fellow cohorts become their customers. So in Vancouver, what if, you know, just because you're Vancouver founders, we could like make it easier to get your first 10 customers, right? Like why it should be that hard? You know, we could like have that, hey, you're building this and building that. You don't need to become a kind of like paid customer. You could join as a trial, kind of like, you know, just kind of to help out shape the product. So we need more kind of, you know, collaboration between founders in Vancouver.
So I'm from Vietnam, and Vietnam, if you guys ever visit, everyone is an entrepreneur. Everyone is a hustler, and that was a norm for me. Everyone loved taking risks, and the risk of failing is what's so thrilling about building a business. Here, it's a very individualistic culture where people look out for themselves, take care of themselves, versus more community-driven if you're from East Asia. And I think that goes back to Toki's point about why are people not taking risks on each other? I think fundamentally it was because it was never cultivated that way.
Yeah, I agree. So I have two perspectives. One from coming from the UK, where binge drinking is like part of our blood. And with drinking, you get like over-socialization, where you share a lot more deeply than most people. That just doesn't exist here. So like there's a different, maybe kombucha parties like, should be a thing. So that's one area. And the other one is SF, where everyone is hyper trying to sell to people. And so like you will have a conversation where like you've literally just said, hi, my name's Jacob, and like instantly they're trying to figure out like based on my name, what can they sell to me? Which is like just feels really fake. And so that's like to compare and that's one of the reasons I moved back here to continue building IcePanel. So I think Vancouver itself just feels quite shy, like it's quite an insular city, especially if you like walk around at like 9 p.m. Like everyone's inside, like with their families, as opposed to like out in the streets, with 7 pints in their hand, which is like what I'm used to. So that was quite a like shock for me. But yeah, I don't know if that already answered your question. But
Yeah. So, I think I'll maybe jump from that on, right? I've spent time in dozens and dozens of startup ecosystems, and one of the stereotypes of Vancouver, which frankly I think is true, is it is one of the most fragmented ecosystems on the planet. It is more fragmented in terms of founders not knowing each other, in terms of not having places to congregate, either conceptually or physically. How do you bridge that? Right? And if we assume that, look, this is just in the DNA of Canadians, or even Vancouver people, they're maybe not as social, they want to go drink kombucha, whatever, right? How do you create something to start to unlock the potential in all of the people around here who are maybe seeing the same thing but don't necessarily want to fix the problem?
yeah, I think for us, we purposefully design our events to be focused on the fun aspect rather than the like cross-selling and like high-level talks. We do like every couple of months, we basically just do a foosball tournament inside of our office and invite people to come and play, and also show off their product as like a kind of starter to the main course. And we spend way too much money on food just because I love food. And I'm pretty sure I'm the only one drinking the beers as well, which is probably...
I drank the beers.
Oh, okay. Well, at least we've shared. Yeah, and the number goes down really quick, so it's kind of a shock to me, to be honest. Yeah, I think we purposefully design the events to be a fun element, because I think, like in business, I think a lot of people kind of forget that like fun can be part of the solution. Like it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be about optimization. Like we're human. Like maybe just talk about like how your day was, or like what cool thing did you do at the weekend. Like I don't want the surface level. I want like just, I don't know, friendship. That's kind of like too much to ask, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with both of your points about being fun, because when you're not in a mindset of networking, then you're open to a real connection. And the way we build our events is very similar. For example, we make everyone wake up at 7 a.m., run around English Bay, and then cold plunge and sauna, which is extremely intimate. This is like the first time you see people and you're seeing them half naked. Might be not the best thing to say. But the way we set it out is because there's already existed communities and they're already amazing. Like I already know about Vancouver.dev before I started. But the fragmentation is the core problem. So what we do is we co-host events to highlight that there are existed communities, and whichever you resonate with, you go there first.
To me, I really wanted to solve this problem, actually. Like, I wanted to see why we not have enough collaboration. So last year, actually, I brought, community builders together, had hosted like, 2 in-person events. Like, hey, come and talk about your problems and how we can collab more. And the challenging part, like I found, was that, finding a space to host their events is one thing. And another would be like people, everyone has their own kind of identity. So collaboration is actually not easy here in Vancouver. It's actually, having spent, other part of the world, I found Vancouver to be one of the hardest places to collab, no matter, how many amazing community we have. So we are kind of like we have one of the most siloed ecosystem, no matter how many times you're talking about it. I'm not sure the solution yet, like what would be the solution. even like bringing more, collaboration might work, but still a lot of things to do.
Yeah, I guess you need to create something for people to look for and also like want to go regularly, because that's really how you build the community, right? And I think that's just really hard here because how siloed it is, it's really hard to find what suits most people. And so like we just double down on fun and just like make it as enjoyable as possible. But another group might want to focus on like actually building something or doing a hackathon or stuff like that.
So really quantity and more options. And so maybe with that, right, you guys in a short amount of time have probably done more diversity of events than anybody in this city ever has. What are some of the things that you guys have done that really resonated, where you're like, okay, this was cool, everybody loves this, let's do this again? And like, what was something where you guys tried and was like, no, this was an abject failure, we should never, ever, ever do that again?
Yeah, so we started 50 days ago. We post our first video on TikTok of, hey, we're building this thing. 100 people sign up in the afternoon, post on LinkedIn, and then 200-300, and that's how we know there's a real demand for this. Selfishly speaking, all the events we hosted is just what I want. It's just a thing I want to do, and I want other people to do it with me to hit like the limit so that you can have an exclusive event. So none of our events ever came back to be negative. We co-hosted Build Day with the Build Day community. I know some of them are here. So people know that if you want to actively co-working, there are space to do so, like with Vancouver.dev also. The event that people love the most so far is the Founder Reset Day, the Co-Plunge Day, because we're collaborating with 4 different other small businesses who are also founders to talk about their business. And within the same day, they have 3 deals coming out of it, and that's just incredible. I guess how we know our traction is working in terms of community and gluing things together, I think of us as merely facilitator and let the community build itself. For example, for our hackathon coming up, we got Lovable as a sponsor, and we don't even know Lovable. They have never heard of us. We don't know of them. We didn't even hop on a call, but one of the founders in the community knows someone at Lovable, and he was like, let me help you guys and let's build this thing together. So now we have a 22 hours hackathon coming.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, I'm going to ask 2 more questions, and then we'll see if we have any questions for the audience. Okay, I'm an old dude. I'm probably like twice the age of all of you. What are the things that talking to somebody like me, right, where you're all younger, where you're just like, dude, the stuff that you think is cool is not. Stop doing this. This is what we want you to know about Gen Z. Like, no, understand this about us. And you don't have to, worry about my feelings. Somebody be brave.
All right, I'll go. I'm not quite Gen Z, because I'm still, consuming a lot of alcohol. But
You're British Gen Z.
And yeah, like it's just embedded in us now. I think one of the things that I just generally think of as a builder is just like humor, fun, and like not being so serious all the time. I think the talk we had previously talked a lot how, B2B SaaS is dead. It's funny because we're in B2B SaaS, but we do a lot of like humor in our product. And that's because like, I don't think business needs to be boring. Like it doesn't need to be vanilla, which I arguably think AI is going to be very good at, is creating a lot of like vanilla products. Like there's other flavors that you didn't even know would fit your needs that we kind of like to double down on. And so our community, the way we build IcePanel is very chill, and it's kind of on brand with the IcePanel theme. So I think just being a little bit more chill as a human and just like building for humans rather than just for revenue all the time is kind of like just generally the ethos that we take.
Yeah, I think being chill and fun is very important, but also being public about your failure. I think one of the point going back to Toki saying about the forgiveness of risk here is people don't celebrate failure, and I want to see that in public. I want to see the messiness, the behind the scene, the logic, which is why building like TikTok gave us incredible traction, and that's how we got our venue for free because of TikTok. So I would want to see a GP of a fund going out and say, hey, this is what I did, this is how it went wrong, this is what you should never do, but here's what I learned from it, and here's what you should do. Like, I would love to see those insights.
Okay.
Yeah, like I mentioned, right, we need more to talk about, what did I do and what I should not have done it, right? The failure, more people need to come to us talking about like what, didn't work out when they're building stuff. In Vancouver, I feel like people only want to share success. Oh, this is the, MRR I'm hitting, I'm raising, but no one's want to talk about like, what they couldn't do it. So, we need to kind of expose, just honest discussion between like how to build a company, how, I should have done it before.
Okay, so I want all three of you to do more of what you're doing, right? The city needs more of what you're doing, province needs more of what you're doing. What do each of you need to make that happen? You've got a big room here, you've got a variety of people, companies, all sorts of stuff. Like, what do you actually need to do more?
So I was thinking, right, like what I want is when I look at like the trend happening right now with even AI, if you look at GPT-5 just came out, and in SF they hosted like a GPT-5 hackathon, right? And like AI agents hackathon, nothing happening in Vancouver. So, probably we need to kind of stay on the technology and do it like, keep the talents like here. So what I need is probably more sponsorship support or how we can make it happen, right? Like more model company come here in Vancouver, just like, staying very deep technical kind of stuff. That's what I'm passionate about.
Okay.
Two things: we need venue and we need sponsorship money with no string attached. Highlighting
Okay, we need space and we need money. Very
space
direct
and money,
answer.
but no string attached. The reason being, we can bring in the creativity, we can bring in the attractions, but if you're telling us, oh, you have to have a panel at your event, I would rather not have.
Say that again. You have to have what?
You have to have a panel or like a talks from your sponsor at the event.
Okay.
Then we'd rather not have that sponsor.
So you need support without, me saying, here's the money, and by the way, I get to talk for 15 minutes about something boring that's going to totally put off your entire community.
Yeah, it would kill the community in that 15 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a hard one because I guess we're...
You're a little different because you're subsidizing it.
Yeah,
for the company,
we just like pay for everything just because we basically want to build, like we want a lean, small team. And so that means that the community you build around that is quite small. So us creating these events is more for us inviting people into our environment and just getting to kind of hang out with other people that can contaminate, jobs or learnings or failures. So for us, just like interest in what we're building, follow us on LinkedIn and see if we have an event next week actually, if anyone's keen, and this is a room full of founders, so hopefully not all of you. Our office is not this big, and that's a lot of beer to buy, or kombucha. What's that? Yeah. So
there's about 15 breweries within like 2 blocks.
Yeah, we
office.
just do a pub crawl. That'll be a good one, and just like ideas, like we do foosball, but during the winter, I want to do like a founders snowboarding and skiing day and like a hike up on the North Shore. I'm a bit biased to that side of the inlet. Like
basically, a lot of effort to get.
That's what I find fun. So kind of on your point, like I do this for fun for me, and then I just invite other people to hang out as well. But there's other fun stuff as well.
All right. Any questions from the audience? Anyone here? Yes.
I guess this might be the youngest panel in the day, so I'm going to take this shot here. From your perspective, what needs to change in terms of education, given the AI presence now? There's a lot of conversation going on about the value of higher education, but also how things are done in the education system that needs to change to prepare the workforce for the future.
To be honest, I don't think higher education has been fixed for the last 10, 20 years. When I went to university, I kind of said that my university course was like a YouTubeable course. Like I could just YouTube everything and get the answer, and then it would be there. It's just now it's condensed because like AI can just go do the YouTube watching and then give you the result. It's kind of been broken for a long time. There's a lot of people trying to solve the problem. So I pretty much went to uni to meet people and like do snowboarding and biking and pretty much everything I do here, just I pay a shit ton of money for it. So I don't have an answer.
Same, I didn't go to university to study. I actually had a full-time job throughout my entire undergrad because school was so boring for me that I need something to keep me mentally sane. So I had a full-time job. And For me, the Anglo-Saxon education system that we have in North America will always fall short of innovation because you take so long to iterate your curriculum, you will never catch up. And there is no part in the education system did it allow innovation, creativity, and autonomy, which are so important to foster talent. The education system never been changed for the past 50 years. You still have people sitting in lines like you're working in a factory. You still have standardized testing, like you're training military soldiers. That kind of system would kill creativity rather than fostering it.
All right, we got one more question, one back there.
My business is really focused on building a community, and I want it to be intergenerational, and also we're geographically dispersed, and so I'm looking at learning in public as the mechanism for binding the community. Are you familiar with learning in public, the concept? And so my question is twofold. Do you see learning in public as a good binding mechanism? And do you have any suggestions for building an intergenerational community?
Okay.
The learning in public's interesting. I guess that's kind of what hackathons were from a technical point of view. We also do, at our events, we do something called reverse demos, which is where we basically get somebody who's never touched the product before to try and sell the product to everyone in the room. And it's always a car crash, and it's hilarious, and I love it because it gives people actual insight into early usage of the tool. So I find that's maybe kind of in line with the learning in public. We're also, for our customer base, who are software architects, will be next year or later in this year going to be starting to do more events in different cities, mostly because it gives us a free holiday to these different places and we can expense it, which is pretty cool. But also just bringing people together so that they can talk about their learnings from different companies that they have this crazy architecture and this crazy architecture, and there's probably some cross-contamination there as well. So we're taking what we've done from the founder community and trying to spread it into our customer base as well. Similar lines, I guess, to you. Our architects are typically a little bit older than kind of millennials or Gen Z even. It's typically late stage employees who are kind of part of the architect team, so it's probably not that intergenerational. But hey, Chris comes to our events, so I guess there's some intergenerational stuff there too.
All right, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Everyone in the room, let's give a big round of applause for these guys.